Welcome back, and let's continue the work with the head rotation for our project. Um, Last time we addressed a few issues, and I'm gonna fix them in this video. So first of all, we have this rotation in first person that will just follow the feet, so we can't really look over our shoulder at all. And I actually already zoomed in on the issue here. On the base character, you have something called use controller rotation yaw, which is in the designer is set to off, but I modify this to set it to on depending on the result of me using first person or not. And previously this was working okay, but now I want to actually not touch that, so I want to actually just remove it, and I'm just gonna reconnect this one. Okay, so if we then play this again, so make sure to have use controller rotation off, then we can now turn without the body turning. So now we have the rotation of the actor being controlled by that limit, and when we move, we can also see that the body corrects itself. So that's pretty cool, I think. One thing we could adjust a little bit on to make this even better is to take, actually I want to mention something about that. So if you come to the viewport and click our first person camera, when we look at the camera settings, we have something called use pawn control rotation. If we declick this one and then play again and switch to first person, then you can see we have all the rotation coming from the animation, because the camera is parent to the head, and that's actually the setting I was using previously. But after playing around with this for not so long, I got dizzy, and I don't think this is gonna be suitable for any game at all. Maybe for something like this, for the sliding. Okay, I got stuck. Great. I need to take a look at that. And for the tumble, when we jump through something like this is okay, and then I would turn it off again to this state here. So that's actually what I have implemented already. So we want to have this set to on actually. But the thing is that when you set this to on, and for example adjust the camera offset, something like this, and zoom in, then this offset is being overridden by the rotation of the pawn. So if I click this on again, you'll see that the rotation is actually being kept intact, and I haven't really figured out how to change this. So I wanted something similar to this, maybe not as extreme as this, but just a little bit of turning down. So I haven't really figured out a perfect solution for this. So for now I'm just gonna set this to on, so we don't have the camera shaking, and I'm gonna go and adjust the camera back a little bit. So inside my camera zoom, I have this 8 units forward, so I'm just gonna put this 15 units behind, because when we are in first person, I also removed the head, so I can get away with that. So now I can look down myself, and I could actually put a little bit further back, I think. Okay, I can see a little bit of my neck now, but it's okay. This would be okay, I think. I just don't want to put it too far back, I think, because then I can see the place where my head used to be. So let's come onto the wall, and we need to take a look at this also, because when we are on the wall, the hands are now adjusting, and we can actually see this from outside. The hands and the body turning, and actually if you turn then too far, then he's gonna freak out. So this is actually a two-step fix, because first of all we have the body adaptation stuff going on inside the update head rotation, which is adjusting the actual rotation when we reach our 90-degree limits to both sides. So in the beginning of this we want to add on the event graph where we call it, I already prepared this, we want to add an input to this called movement state, and want to feed that in. So inside here we have access to it. I'm just going to promote this to a variable, local variable, like that, and call this the, okay, seems I already have it, and I'm just going to use that one, not get set. Okay, so now we have the movement state available in here, and here we rotate the head, and after we rotate the head we want to check, do we want to adjust, or should we adjust the actual rotation according to that limit. And if we are in a climbing state, in that hanging braced state, we don't want to do it. So we can say, are we different from hanging braced? This one. Then we don't want to adjust. Connect this one up. So if we are in different from hanging braced, then we want to adjust the body, otherwise we don't want to. So let's play that. And when we turn all the way over, we don't, the character doesn't freak out and make anything weird, but the body is still acting up, and that's because that's the second part of this fix. It's because we have the rotation on now 4 bones or joints, and when we are hanging on the wall we don't want to affect all the bones actually. So this fix is going to be inside the animation blueprint, more specifically inside the animation graph, where we have all this spaghetti here. So we need to add a little bit something to this. So when we have the movement state here as well, get movement state, and this is gonna be interesting. So we're gonna say if we are if we are equal to hanging braced, let's do it like this. If we are equal to hanging braced, then we want to have, we actually want to have a branch, but you can't make branches in here. When you can do something similar, you can use a select float, and then we want to, based on that state, we want to decide which alpha value to use. So if we are hanging in a braced state, then we want to make sure that only the head is turning and all the others are not turning. So I want to set this for the transform bone head thingy up here to that one, and the previous value 0.5, replace that in here. So basically what I want to do is to make sure to replace all of these with a corresponding one. I'm just gonna do that. So let's go ahead and just copy this one and say this one needs to be 0, because then for the neck I don't want that to be affected at all, but I still want in the other instances I want 0.1, and for this one I want 0 if I'm hanging, and I want my 0.2 otherwise. And even a bit more space. It's getting messy, you want to clean that up afterwards. I will not show how that is done, it will be up to yourself to do it. Take this one, 0.2. And so, and the last one is going to be 0.1 and 0, and turned out like this. Looks messy, but it's actually not that complicated. So anyway, let's go ahead now. So when we turn now, the rotation is isolated only to the head now. And in first person, we have an issue with the camera now, though. And we will take a look at that next. So let's go back to the base character. This is actually handled inside the camera zoom. But the thing is, and if you haven't set this up exactly as I have, then you want to make a check saying, first of all, in the beginning I have a check saying, are we in cover or a braced hanging state? So if either one of these are true, then we want to continue and adjust something. And this one will actually be true. So when we reach this state over here, and we ask, are we in cover, and say yes, and follow the false one, then we know we are in a climbing state. So in this situation, we want to adjust the head rotation or the head location accordingly, so that it doesn't pop in down to our body. And we want to raise the head 5 units, and we want to put the head a little bit back, so like -5, not too far back, just a little bit. Go ahead and jump up, and that looks way better now. Could be a little bit better, I think. Maybe some of the, let's slow that down. I think the shoulder pad is gonna, no, it's not. Okay, it looks actually pretty good. So as you can see now, also if you imagine your head, you would be looking towards your right arm and your left arm. The head, the camera move is more realistic, I think. So that is the climbing. Adjustments. The last video, I think, will be about how to handle the cover state, because that's also broken right now. And all the rest should be okay, I think. Actually, one thing we could also just take a look at here. If you notice, now if I'm looking at it, this actually is maybe easier if I take a look at the rifle. If I face the rifle with the body now, or actually face away from the rifle, but then turn my head towards it, I want it to highlight, and it's not until my body is actually turned. So let's go ahead and fix that, and that's something we need to do inside. We would need to go way back, some of the first tutorials, and check at I think inside the base character blueprint we have something called get interactable, something with interactable get get best interaction, I think. There we have the interaction point that we use to detect where our interactable is, and the interaction point is, as you can see, located on the pelvis, pointing straight forward. So instead of using that, I'm just gonna actually use the first person camera, because I can just use that instead. So I'm gonna take this interaction point and use the first person camera, because from that one I can also get a world location, and I can get a forward vector for that one. So out with you. Thank you for your service. You have now been replaced. So let's take a look at that. So, ouch. I need to disable that stuff for a bit, I think. Let's go around that. And now when we are facing away, but start to look, the rifle is going to highlight. And as you can see now, the highlighting of the rifle, hope it's visible on the screen, is controlled by the head turning now instead of the body turn. So that's a pretty good improvement, I think, also, and worth mentioning. We have 2 more issues left to, I think, to handle, and the first one is the cover state, and the second one is a little more serious issue, the animation here. And I think I will break that up into 2 videos, maybe 3, depending on how long it takes. But stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.